against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
You know, you're dealing with all of these objects that are hanging out over your sensitive military installations, nuclear facilities, and now you're seeing objects in orbit.
After I enhanced it a little bit more, I could see that there was almost two halves to this craft. This is something that is intelligently made.
Somebody is watching us. We should at least know who it is and why.
The watchers are called the messengers.
Yes.
They keep watch on us because they're thinking, well, perhaps they're not going in the right direction.
This is an actual NSA document. They are talking about communication through specific frequencies and then how we could communicate back with ET.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under repellent.
This Black Knight is somehow correlated with the Vultus constellation.
I think there's a lot more to it.
An early reptilian race brought this satellite into orbit.
These so-called satellites are to observe the planets, to listen. The universe is full of these probes.
What I think is the most important thing to understand, are we being watched? Who is watching us? And where are they from? I am Billy Carson, and this is my investigation into the Black Knight satellite.
Back. Blake Cousins here. We've got a special report for you, and we've got the man himself behind the Black Knight satellite, Beyond the Signal, and he's going to be joining us in just a moment, and we're going to be going over the documentary in detail. What is the Black Knight satellite? How old is it? Is it debunked, or is it something otherworldly? That's what we're going to find out tonight. And we're inviting you, the public, if you've got questions for Billy, be sure to bring them in the chat room tonight. So let's just bring in Billy Carson. Appreciate you joining us today, Billy.
Hey, thank you, sir. It's been great to be on here. This is amazing.
I know after all these years, you participated in our Above Top Secret documentary, and finally you're on Third Phase of Moon, and we're talking face to face. So I dig it. Yeah. You know, you've been traveling across the world. You just got back from the UK, and you're on fire right now. Your social media is blowing up, and is this movie, The Black Knight Satellite, Beyond the Signal. You're opening up eyes in regards to this. We've been following the Black Knight Satellite for quite some time, many years. The NASA photos and some objects even here on Earth that look like the Black Knight Satellite. But let's just start it off.
Yeah.
What got you into the Black Knight satellite? Do you believe this is a satellite that's been roaming around our planet for 13,000 years?
Yeah, well, about maybe I would say close to 12 years ago, 11 and a half, 12 years ago, max, I came across the information about the Black Knight satellite. And it was just some casual information on a forum online. And I was like, wow, I wonder if this could be real. Then I came across some more. And I said, this is pretty interesting. I need to look into this, you know? So I started studying and researching it. And then I started seeing some links between the Black Knight satellite, or potentially what could be a satellite orbiting Earth, and something from ancient Sumerian text, which was also known as the all-seeing eye. And I feel that I had enough conclusive data to make a connection between the all-seeing eye of Enlil, the Anunnaki, from the Sumerian cuneiform tablets, the Babylonian god Enlil, and this all-seeing eye, where this object that's orbiting in a polar orbit, which would allow him to have the ability to see around the entire planet at any given time.
So it's interesting as you delve into this documentary, and I just got done watching it. There's a few people that got involved, and you spoke to one of the people. I forgot his name, but you're asking him about these so-called debunkers that want to dismiss the Black Knight as just a simple blanket that was accidentally jettisoned from, I think, the shuttle.
Yeah.
So he went into detail explaining exactly why it isn't. And is there a reason why they want to keep this a secret from the people? NASA put the photograph out, and we could trace it back to the source of NASA. Well, why are they kind of discrediting it? But then they put it out, and their explanation is kind of mundane.
Right. Well, a couple of reasons. The first reason, you have to put it out because this object is orbiting somewhere around the Lagrange 5 point, which is around the same distance of the moon, about 250 million miles out, which means it's going to be very easy to see depending on the way that the sun's going to come in and reflect off of it, and also the way that we have technology now for our quasi astronomers now. Everybody's got a nice telescope. I have one. And so eventually enough people are going to be looking at this thing and seeing. Plus other agencies, space agencies are launching into space, and even college students now can launch CubeSats into space. So the fact that this thing actually exists is going to be well known. So they're covering your tracks saying, hey, we've already put it in our database years ago. We labeled it space junk, right? And so it definitely is not a blanket. It's something that has mass. And there was an estimate that came back one time in the past from NASA that they estimated about 15 tons. But the time that they made that estimate, neither us or Russia could launch 15 tons into space. So what is this thing?
Oh, absolutely. That's what we're trying to find out. Black Jacket's saying, do you think we've done some rendezvous, possibly? Space Force have gotten a close-up look at the Black Knight satellite. Has that crossed any of the theories out there?
I believe it's one of the main reasons for the Space Force. Something that's orbiting Earth, and there's been actually now documented more than one object, but I just couldn't find enough data on the second object, even though two objects have been labeled in many newspapers and also one in Time magazine. And so what I said was, wow, this is pretty interesting. What if the Space Force is come together because they realize there is an object, potentially alien, orbiting our planet, potentially sending information back, reconnaissance data on us as to where we are, what we're doing as a species on this planet. We need to be able to analyze this and invest a lot of money into figuring out what it is without disrupting it. I think they hide this because if you don't know what this is, and it is that ancient, it has the ability to do what it's doing. It was in a polar orbit before we can put things in polar orbits. That means it might have a self-defense system. That means it might be communicating via quantum entanglement, which means no matter where it's sending its information to, it's going instantly. So if you try to blow it up, it can still get the message out before it explodes. And you don't know if they're going to call the cavalry in or what's going to really happen. An object like that also orbiting so close to our Earth atmosphere. I mean, the easiest way to take out a human population is not to come with guns ablazing. You just release a toxin into the atmosphere and just wait for everybody to pass out, and then you clean up later. So because of that, I think they keep it quiet. They don't want anybody to know that potentially this could be an alien object that we have no control over.
Absolutely. And I think that's why this cat and mouse game is going on, especially even in the recent hearings in Congress. Man, did you watch that debacle?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, they were talking about close encounters in terms of fighter jets almost colliding with 11 of these objects that have been visiting us. Pretty interesting.
It was. But then again, these people that were the eyewitnesses, the witnesses to the Congress, their clearance only went so high. They weren't into that above top secret level. Right. Do you think there is a faction of our government that is in the above top secret Q clearance that has real detailed imagery of the Black Knight? And Johnny D saying it's a very old satellite. How is this possible? Can you explain that as well?
Yeah, I believe that that there are people with above top secret clearance, even cosmic top secret, maybe in NATO, where they have been sending things to flybys to this thing or rendezvous with it for a very, very long time, getting as much data on it as they could. There's an NSA document that we talk about in the actual documentary that has been downloaded and found now that talks about how to even communicate with beings from space. But what's interesting is particularly giving the specific type of communication or at least decoding of information coming from outer space from an intelligent source that other people have already used in the past to decode the signal coming from the Black Knight. So it's pretty interesting. And the question that the gentleman had put up there just a minute ago was, how is it possible? We ourselves are just now beginning to rediscover technology and what it's all about. I think there have been many civilizations before that have been spacefaring. And if you look at where we came from as a civilization, we meaning humans on this planet, from 100 years until today, we went from a horse, buggy, and carriage to putting remote control cars on other planets. Imagine a civilization 1 million years ahead of us. It's no limit to what they can really do.
Yeah, and if they wanted to attack us, they would have done that a long time ago as well. Right. So this false threat narrative that they keep pushing, in my opinion, I think more of the technology is within our own private assets, a private corporation somewhere within America's borders, most likely. But again, there is possibly ET existence. And the evidence points towards that, especially with all the video evidence and all the historical evidence in regards to it and their cover up. But you mentioned something about the NATO cosmic clearance. Is that the correct term?
Yeah, cosmic top secret clearance.
And what exactly? So NATO has its own cosmic top secret clearance. Can you explain what that entails?
Right. So they have a cosmic top secret clearance level, which is which is the actual highest level you can get when it comes to ETs, UFO phenomenon, and otherworldly things. And at that clearance level, you actually get access to case history and documents, audio files, and video regarding all the information that is pertaining to that they have in their database, their specific database, pertaining to UFOs and what we're calling them UAP activity, and also, and not only that, but actual encounters. And so this is pretty interesting. There's an actual cosmic top secret clearance at NATO.
I bet you they have a lot more evidence that the public would love to see if they gave us just a tidbit. But again, what about this this documentary, The Black Satellite Beyond the Signal? Again, it's putting off some kind of signal. Has any of that data been looked at, and how is that ascertained? Who's picking up this signal?
Yeah. Okay. So first it was picked up by Nikola Tesla in the late 1800s. He had ascertained that the signal was coming from Mars. That's where he thought it was coming from. It's his own words. It should be nothing coming from space in the 1800s. I mean, absolutely, there's nothing going on. There was nothing even going on Earth to even give a fake signal. And so the fact that he was getting a signal, and he recorded this signal in terms of the frequency it was giving off. Now, much later in 1953, 2 ham radio operators picked up the same exact signal, the same exact frequency, and they started beginning the job of trying to decode it. They came up with the idea that this thing was giving its location, that it's coming from the Epsilon Boötis constellation, where it was in the sky based on the position of the equinoxes about 13,000 years ago. After that, Duncan Lunan, who was a journalist and astronomer who wrote for Time magazine, actually picked up the signal and then decoded the signal, and he came up with the same thing. Epsilon Boötis, his calculation based on the decoding came up to 11,000 years ago. And Time magazine published the article in 1960. So, I mean, this thing is, it's an amazing story. I mean, it really needs to be looked at a lot deeper, and that's why I did a documentary on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're going down the rabbit hole on this documentary, I know NASA has these photographs that they put out. Did you come across more photographs that have not been seen by the public for your documentary?
Well, there's 4 main photos that pretty much are in the labeled as space junk. They all look slightly different. One is actually the Black Knight, which is the main one that I even use on the cover, the poster cover for the documentary itself. The others appear to be something different. Another one looks to be a solid object as well. Maybe it is one of the different 2 that has been claimed to have been orbiting. Even by the Russians had stated that 2 things were orbiting the planet. And then the other 2 objects appear to be anomalies that could be potentially space junk.
Well, that's actually kind of refreshing to hear that we're at least admitting there's space junk out there, and there's a lot of things that are misidentified as space junk, as UFOs or ET in nature. But you're specifically focused on this one photograph, and I know after watching the documentary, there was really a lot of enhancements that were done to make this detail, this Black Knight satellite, whatever it is. It really shows a craft. Let's actually, we got a sneak peek thanks to Billy. Let's roll a clip from the Black Knight satellite beyond the signal. Watch this, guys.
This was a time of deep suspicions held by the 2 superpowers on either side of the ocean. This is right in the middle of the Cold War. This is 4 years before Sputnik, 4 years before the first launched artificial satellite by humankind. Kehoe's learning from his Navy contacts, high-level people, that the U.S. military was almost in a state of panic. They're like, yeah, we're kind of in a real state of concern here because there's these 2 objects. They were very difficult to track, but apparently the military, U.S. military, was tracking it. And then finally, this story does come out in the mainstream news in early 1954, in March. Now, you just put this in perspective. So there's only one natural satellite of Earth that we know about. It's called the Moon. and it's about 250,000 miles out, about 250,000 miles out. So suddenly, they're talking about two objects that are like 500 miles orbiting Earth.
That's really good stuff. I like the power play on the editing and the music, and it seems like, it's one of these documentaries that when you watch it, you're entertained, but then you're gaining the knowledge at the same time. And I give you a credit on that. I know Bob Top Secret was firing, but this one is like staying on that same level, and that gets people's interest. It's really important. This the subject of the Black Knight satellite, again, it's been lore for a long time in ufology, and there's a lot of skepticism that comes with it, and supposed debunkers that have tried to debunk this, but then you're still chasing the answers to it. And again, do you really think that we're going to be getting more footage? I know NASA's getting into this game, and we've been suggesting to NASA, if you're going to start playing ball and want to find out about the UFO phenomenon, you should already look into your own archive. You guys, you've been gathering evidence for decades now.
For real.
Oh my God.
I know. They've got everything. I mean, they literally have everything. What's most likely going to happen with the Black Knight is an independent private space company that is launching satellites or has some type of ability to see what's out there. Maybe they're attached to another payload, or a private space station that's being built, or private corporation that's working on a space station for either any country. Is going to come across this thing, like maybe the new China space station that's up there now, and somebody's probably going to take some really good high quality photos, or maybe even a video clip of it, and upload it online, and then let everyone see it. So that's most likely how it's going to happen. I mean, America's, I guess their status quo is always going to be deny, or give very, very, vague information on something, as to acknowledge it's there, but we kind of still don't know what it is, just to keep a question mark in everybody's head.
Yeah, I think never straight answer, NASA. That's the cliche there. But I was talking to Michael Sherritt and Michael Schratt, head of the Project Blue Book, the Blue Room Media, excuse me, and historian on the aviation, military, aerospace historian. I was saying that I'm going to talk to Billy tomorrow, and I said, do you have any questions that I should ask Billy? And he says, ask Billy if he had any suggestions on how to ascertain crash retrieval, either debris, either the craft itself. What would it take to actually get our hands on this material?
Right.
Would we have to go to Congress? Would we have to sneak in because it might be covered up in an illegal fashion? And we could, if it's illegal, then therefore we could uncover this and do a patriotic thing.
Yeah.
How do we get to the materials?
Well, there's a couple things. If we're going to use the Space Force was created just for situations like this, where you can actually interact with an object that potentially may be alien, or maybe another government's technology, and you can actually, handle it behind the scenes, and then just say, hey, this was a threat to national security or even global security. And so that's one of the main functions of this new Space Force that was formed, is to be able to handle these types of situations without having to have public oversight. And so we'll see that, I don't know if they'll try to blow this thing up. I think that would be kind of dumb or ignorant, because you don't know what it's transmitting or who it's transmitting to. And so far, it's been totally peaceful. It hasn't done anything to us. And if it is that old, there hasn't been anything. It hasn't done anything evil to us in, eons. So why mess with it? But if the powers that be get a little greedy for the technology, that they want to learn how to take it and then learn how to weaponize it, well, then we may be facing another situation where they do try to commandeer this object. And if they do try to commandeer it, they definitely would do it behind closed doors, because if the world would see it and if something went wrong, then we'd have them to blame. But if we do it behind closed doors and something goes wrong, we blame it on aliens. Now we have to, we have to bring more weapons into space. We have to suit up for the next attack and blah, blah, blah. So, that's the game they like to play.
the false threat narrative and blame it on something that we don't know what it is, but in reality, we know exactly what it is, and they take advantage of a situation. It seems to me that there is this threat that they always want to push on us, but then again, do you think that it's possible that we're actually hiding this technology from everybody, just not to let our adversaries know that we have this technology, that we could run circles around any of their military assets? And we're just playing dumb and saying, hey, look, we don't know what it is, these are ET in nature, just not to rile up Russia or China into a defense posture.
That's always a real possibility. The fact that it could be our technology, something that we had that's super advanced from very, very long ago. I mean, look, we had the SR-71 Blackbird really test flights in the 1960s. I mean, and so it's possible. And they're very, very good at keeping secrets. So it's possible that it could be something that we actually created ourselves. However, the only thing that brings that into question is that when Sputnik was first launched, which was the first satellite that we claimed, we let them beat us into space with a satellite, and we're analyzing, the whole world's eyes were in space. And then this thing gets picked up by everybody, and it's in a polar orbit, which nobody could do at the time. And so if we allow Russia to become the leader in space at that moment by launching a satellite and getting it into orbit, and then, we do that just to hide the fact that we already have been in orbit with an object that's estimated potentially 15 tons that can go into a polar orbit. I don't know if that's a big stretch technologically for us in that time frame. Maybe there was a secret space program that had the capability, though, of doing something like that. But wow, it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that we will let the Russians have the glory of launching their first satellite and getting it into space and orbit. They had a lot of firsts in space as well, so it wasn't like that was the first thing that they did to us that we didn't achieve before them. And so I'm wondering if the fact that this thing was in a polar orbit and I'm talking about the 1960s, I don't know. It's pretty hard for me to wrap my head around if it's ours or not.
Yeah, that's a big question I was going to ask you, because you participated in Ancient Aliens, and this connection between possible ET and our ancient civilizations. But maybe we as humans have cracked the code as far as this kind of technology ourselves, and it's just been forever hidden through plate tectonics. Civilizations that have been destroyed with no trace whatsoever, and we're just kind of circling in our technology and getting up to this peak again, and we're on this roll. But maybe civilizations from long ago mastered this. So I know you've studied like this ancient civilization and this high advanced technology. If the black satellite were from Earth itself, where do you think it would have originated from?
I believe it would have originated from Mesopotamia, which is now modern day Iraq. You look at the Sumerian cuneiform tablets, the Akkadian accounts, and the Babylonian accounts of the Anunnaki that came from heaven to earth, that came from another planet, that came here to earth to create a breakaway civilization in ancient times. And this is not according to Billy. This is according to the ancient tablets. And in these tablets, one of these, they called them gods with a lowercase g, by the way. But the people of the time believed that these people were gods because they had more advanced knowledge. But they were just flesh and blood beings, just like us. But this one particular god named Enlil, who happened to take over kingship of Earth itself ahead of his brother, who his brother should have been ruling, but he somehow superseded him. That is not clear why or how. A brutal, evil ruler, by the way, who would kill humans for the dumbest things. Oh, they're making too much noise, kill them off, dry out their crops, and all these things he would do. He, in these tablets, had an all-seeing eye that allowed him to do two things. One thing, it allowed him to communicate to other beings in their Sumerian cylinder scrolls that depict this communication between a device between the two of them from planet to planet. And then he also had the capability of seeing what was going on the entire planet at any given time. Population densities, farming, everything going on. What he called the clamor of the humans, the loud noises they were making, and how rude and wild that they were becoming. And he would say, just kill them off. Just take, and he would have these situations where he would release plagues on them to kill them. He would drive the crops out to kill them off, and all these crazy, weird things. I mean, this is written in the tablets.
Wow.
But he had an all-seeing eye, and somewhere
kind of like Google.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. Enlil, Enlil. And so what's interesting is the fact that he had proclaimed, and not only him, but his half sister and his brother, that what they had done here, they would have to face an answer to the creator of all. So even they knew there was a higher power, and what they had done here was kind of like the wild, wild west, and they were going to be in big trouble for it. Pretty interesting.
The mysteries of history still have yet to be revealed. I just saw this one chat. Let me see if I could pull it up. Let me see. He's bringing it up. I thought it was kind of interesting. Did you know anything about this Pepsi commercial that Usher made talking about the Black Knight satellite? And did they never released it? They suppressed this commercial. What's that all about?
The video of the Black Knight satellite Pepsi commercial actually leaked out. I don't know if it was about maybe 5 years ago now. It leaked out. It was an incredible commercial. I mean, talking about, great quality CGI graphics and Usher's in there. And you got the Black Knight. I'm like, what does this have to do with Pepsi? It was almost like whoever it was on that marketing team had researched this thing extensively and was, fascinated by it and wanted to find a way to incorporate it into mainstream marketing and advertisement, just kind of like hidden in plain sight type situation. But it had leaked. Yeah. Somebody leaked it out, and it was an amazing commercial. You can still dig for it and find a copy of it somewhere online. It was pretty interesting. Whoever came up with it or why they did it, but it looked pretty cool. So I swear I was trying to see if I can get a license to get it in the documentary, but I just couldn't.
Or you could just fair use it for a few seconds, obviously, because that is a journalistic thought process, and they try to hide it as well.
Yeah,
and you're doing the investigation, try to find it. I think that would have worked, but again, that's interesting because hiding in plain sight, as you just stated, definitely. That's what they seem to do, that they're preparing for us for something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's this movie coming out. I'm really looking forward to it called Nope by Jordan Peele. Have you seen the trailer for that?
I haven't seen that one yet. I got to check it out.
Wow. Yeah. The same director of Get Out.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, this one looks pretty fascinating. Nope is going to be kind of a mind blower, but they're bringing in the UFO aspect on it. We'll see what kind of play on it, if it is threat based or not. But check that out. But again, back to the Black Knight satellite beyond the signal. When did you get started on this documentary?
I got started on this about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I said to myself, I got to get this thing started. I've been looking into it, researching. I have enough data, enough connections now, enough people that would be more than happy, researchers and scientists that would be more than happy to get involved with me on this project. And I got off to a pretty good start. And I started all solo by myself, wearing every hat in production and directing and filming and everything else. And then the whole planetary sickness hit us, which shut everything down and slowed me down and put it behind quite a bit. And then nobody wanted to interview, nobody wanted to come outside, nobody wanted to fly anywhere to do this and that, And I almost gave up on it, but I said, if I give up on this, and people who follow me, who are my big fans, they're going to see, well, something difficult happened in Billy's life, and he just gave up. So if he did it, I can do it. So I decided not to spread that type of consciousness virus, and actually, get out here and let the people know I was going to complete this no matter what. And so I decided to bring in a production team and hire an additional producer and director, and really knock this thing out. And everything worked out in divine time when we got it done.
Yeah, that's great. Where are people able to stream it? We're going to be putting the link in the description.
Yeah.
Where is it available right now for streaming?
If you go to 4bk.tv, 4bk.tv, you can watch it there on Forbidden Knowledge TV. That's a short version link to get to it very easy. As well as if you have Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, the iOS store, or Google Play Store, you can just look for the Forbidden with the number 4 Forbidden Knowledge TV app and download the app, and you can get a 3-day free trial and watch it for free.
That's awesome. And you got a YouTube channel too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, THE Forbidden Knowledge on YouTube.
Man, we're gonna have to collaborate more. I did talking with you, and the conversation's really fun and insightful as well. And I think we're on the same goal, trying to get to the bottom of this cosmic gate. And push it to another level, man. This is
Absolutely.
cool, man. We had like 1,200 people. They're joining us right now live, so people are really interested in the subject, and I urge everybody to go take a look at Black Knight Satellite Beyond the Signal. Let's just play this trailer once again. It's pretty hot, guys. Take a look at this.
We're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
You know, you're dealing with all of these objects that are hanging out over your sensitive military installations, nuclear facilities, and now you're seeing objects in orbit.
After I enhanced it a little bit more, I could see that there was almost two halves to this craft. This is something that is intelligently made.
Somebody is watching us. We should at least know who it is and why.
The watchers are called the messengers.
Yes.
They keep watch on us because they're thinking, well, perhaps they're not going in the right direction.
This is an actual NSA document. They are talking about communication through specific frequencies and then how we could communicate back with ET.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under repellent.
This Black Knight is somehow correlated with the Otis constellation.
I think there's a lot more to it.
An early reptilian race brought this satellite into orbit.
These so-called satellites are to observe the planets, to listen. The universe is full of these probes.
What I think is the most important thing to understand, are we being watched? Who is watching us? And where are they from? I am Billy Carson, and this is my investigation into the Black Knight satellite.
Black Knight Satellite. Hey, Black Knight Satellite.
Got a little rap going over
Black
there.
Knight.
Came up with an original song, digging it. All right, Billy. Let's keep in touch. Let's keep in touch, and we look forward to your next project. I know we're going to be working on our trilogy to Above Top Secret, and we've got some big questions for you coming up, man.
Can't
so
wait.
Get ready for that. It's going to be off the hook. And again, we're going to be supplying the original link, the link to Black Knight Satellite Beyond the Signal right after the show. Everybody go take a look at it this week and tell your friends about it. Again, people kind of dismiss the Black Knight as a blanket. People think it's been debunked. Just because people say it's debunked doesn't mean they debunked anything. They're just sometimes just they don't always, they weren't there in space. Has anybody ever got up close to this thing? No. So we're still trying to figure it out. But the amazing documentary, and going down the rabbit hole of this disclosure it's a bit tricky, but man, I'm glad you're bringing the Black Knight back into consciousness.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. A lot of extensive research and a lot of different perspectives. That's why I had so many people in this film to help participate and bring their own perspective from the ancient side, from the high technology side, quantum physicists, astrophysicists, astronomers, everybody coming together to kind of give a little piece of the puzzle to figure out, could it be real? And if it is, what is it?
That's right. It's collaborating and not just having your own opinion, but getting the community's opinion. And I applaud you for that. Billy, be safe out there, man. We're going to keep in touch. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Billy Carson, everybody. That was an incredible interview. And I'm so glad he came on Third Phase of Moon. And I'm glad everybody joined us in the chat room. There was a lot of fun super chatters out there. I want to thank the UFO man. And a lot of people really did a lot of support. So we thank, let's see, we got the Road Glider with a $10 super chat. Appreciate that. We also want to thank Keith WikiLife, I think it is. WikiLife, appreciate it. Thanks for the $2 New Zealand super chat. Let's bring in Johnny D, never a straight answer, absolutely. And then Brian Mirasopian with the 1999 super sticker, super chat. Appreciate it. The Black Knight Satellite. Yeah, everybody go take a look at that. And Above Top Secret, it's all out there. And Billy Carson's in that as well. I want to thank Johnny D again. And I got a couple more here. Let's see. Appreciate it. DJ Quaiko. Peace on Earth. That's right. Peace on Earth. And it's really too bad about the foreign prime minister that was assassinated today in Japan. Really sad news over there. Man, what a world we live in. Guys, be safe out there, right? Be real safe. And keep your eyes on the skies. It's Blake Cousins. We'll see everybody real soon.